Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I am so excited that you are joining me this week. This is a place where I talk about health and wellness and biohacking and ancestral nutrition and microdosing and plant medicine and a bunch of other things like that. I am currently on day 10 of 75 hard and it's going pretty well. It's a lot. If you are thinking about doing 75 hard, I honestly really recommend that everybody do it once. I think there's a lot of power behind it. And let me explain kind of why. So, in my episode last week, I described exactly what 75 hard is. And I don't necessarily want to go through that again right now. But if you didn't hear last week's episode, essentially, it is a health challenge, a mental toughness challenge, where every day for 75 days, you have to do certain tasks. And if you miss one of the tasks, you have to start again. So I find that these types of things definitely have pros and cons. The cons being it can be really triggering for a lot of people if you have any sort of history of eating disorders or obsession with fitness or nutrition or how you look or your weight or anything like that. Like, I think it can be very triggering for that. And it's definitely not recommended for everyone. Like, this is not one of those cleanses or detoxes that everyone can kind of benefit from doing. I would say there's definitely a bunch of people who shouldn't do it. And like I said, like people who aren't in a healthy place with their view and relationship with food and their bodies, any sort of even anxiety, like severe anxiety, I would be cautious of it. Anorexia, bulimia, things like that. Like I would just be really careful with it. But there are a lot of pros to doing it. So one of the biggest things that I find when I get into doing a challenge like this is the discipline that comes from it is very rewarding. So it's not just about eating healthy 100% of the time and working out twice a day and drinking a gallon of water. It's not just about what those things do for you physically, which you see within a week or two, right? Like you see it in your skin, you see it in your energy levels, you see it in your mood. You're just like much happier all the time. But there's something really powerful that comes from the dedication to a challenge like this for a long period of time. It really, really is empowering because now you are focusing on something like focusing on this goal that's 75 days away, which is a decent amount of time. And every day you're a step closer there. And every day only you have yourself to keep yourself accountable. Like it's this very internal challenge that really does build discipline and mental toughness and the ability to do things that are uncomfortable and hard. And I think there's a lot of success and productivity and clarity that comes from doing things like this. So even for myself right now, 10 days in, and this isn't the first time I've done this challenge. So even for myself, 10 days in now, like I am just like shocked at how good I feel already. And it makes me think about the choices that I've been making for the last few months in my diet, in the lifestyle I've been leading, in my workouts and that type of thing. Because when you go balls to the wall, which is like a terrible saying, I guess, or you go really hard like this and you go and you become very focused, you can see what the discipline does for you physically and mentally. And I would honestly argue like the mental benefits are honestly better than the physical benefits. Like, yeah, it's great to have clear skin and great energy and to lose weight for sure. Like I'm not saying those things aren't great. Those are 100% great. A lot of people need help with those things. But the ability to focus and the ability to show up for yourself and see yourself through the challenge every single day, wake up the next morning, do it again, and know that you've been successful. That is beautiful. And we don't really get that much in our culture anymore. There's a lot of reward that comes from doing hard things and tough things. And that's exactly what 75 hard is. So if you haven't done it, I really suggest looking into it further and seeing if it's something that you can do. There will never, ever be a fantastic time to do it. There will always be some sort of holiday, event, wedding plans that are going to get interrupted in the 75 days that really put you to the test. And so my encouragement to you is obviously try to do it at a time that's more of a downtime in terms of like your social calendar, but really just go for it at any time. There's a bunch of things you can do to help you, and I will probably do a couple podcasts about it as I go through it. But there's also a lot of people who have done it online. There's a lot of people making TikTok videos about it. There's a lot of podcasts. So do your research. And if you try it, let me know, because I would love to hear your take on it so far. And if you're successful, and if you fail, if you start again, all of that type of thing. I'm definitely here to listen and support you as you go through it. So this week, we are doing another episode of Microdosing. So every month, I'm bringing episodes to you that are about microdosing, plant medicine, or likewise. And this week is no different. So I have Adam Pike on my episode, on my podcast this week. And we get into a lot of different topics. We talk about his personal protocols, the products he's using, his growth that he's seen from using psilocybin and LSD and things like that. Like it was a very easy conversation. It really is. And I think that's something that I'm finding is that when I talk to these people who are similar to myself about microdosing, the conversation is so easy because there's just this energy and vibe with somebody who understands the power of using a small amount of psilocybin while you're working and what it can do for you, or trying LSD and then going to a workout and seeing what it can do for you, and removing the stigma around it, removing the, initial ways that we as a Western society viewed these types of substances, and so these conversations are great and they're easy and I really do appreciate them. So enjoy this one. A quick shout out to this week's sponsors. So of course, on the topic of microdosing, I do love talking about Valhalla Vitality. They have multiple products, and one of their products, which I mentioned when I talk about microdosing, is their THCV product. Now, this is a liquid dropper. Like I said, it's got THCV in it, which is a cannabinoid, and it's really great for focus and clarity. And it's also really great for appetite suppression, which is what I like using it for. So on days where I fast, I will take this in conjunction with coffee and water, and it suppresses your appetite. And then it kind of helps me get through my fast if I'm doing a longer fast without having severe hunger or anything like that. So that's like one of their products that I love, 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 and use. They also make a great like longevity supplements as well. Things like M&M. Did I say M&M? I meant NMN and spermidine. And they really do create tinctures that are designed for biohackers. Like that's how I love describing their company. Also, BioOptimizers, they have the best magnesium on the market. Do not buy your magnesium from anywhere else. Like BioOptimizers has taken the time and the research to figure out the most bioavailable magnesium for us. It has 7 different types in it, like 7. It is very comprehensive. It is very holistic in manner. And so I use it when I go to bed. I use it for muscle soreness. I kind of just always take it throughout the day. Like it's one of those supplements that is just always in rotation and I'm always kind of turning to. But I definitely turn to it more when I'm stressed or not sleeping well, because magnesium really, really helps to calm down the body, make you feel grounded and more restorative. And then last but not least, shout out to Silver Biotics. Guys, like how long have I been talking about the rashes on the back of my legs? I think since May. Like, I literally think it's been 4 months. I have these weird rashes on the back of my legs and they kind of flare up here and there. I think the 75 Hard program is actually helping with them because I'm wondering if it's a internal trigger, inflammation or response to too much gluten or alcohol, whatever it might be. But externally, I really like using silver on my skin. And so silver is antibacterial, antimicrobial. Traditionally, people used like colloidal silver, but Silver Biotics has a much better product. The particles are smaller, it doesn't accumulate in the body, and it's much safer. So that's what I use on my skin. They also make a supplement as well, but their silver products are the best, which is why they are so popular. So definitely check out them if you are interested in getting a very similar product. And thank you for tuning in this week. I look forward to having you join me next week as well. Welcome to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. I am so excited for today's guest, Adam Pike. We have been talking on Instagram for a while. He kind of runs in similar circles as me in terms of microdosing and supplements and wellness and health and fitness. He's also Canadian, which we love. So Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I love talking to people who I kind of have a connection with already compared to some sort of, naturopathic doctor in the States I've never met or something. I feel like I just have a lot in common with you. But before we get into that, I want to know about your journey to health and fitness and like how you initially got started on this track.
So I kind of started when I was younger, but like I never really took it seriously. And the more I've done it over the years, the more I fell in love with it. In 2018, I did a TV show, Big Brother, and I tried out for that show 5 years in a row, and I always kept getting turned down. And I didn't know why.
Wow.
So I was like, you know what? Every single year would go by, I would go through the whole process, I would get fit, then I wouldn't make it. And I was like, okay, on the fifth year, I'm going to be in my best possible shape. I'm going to try to mold myself into the best person I could possibly be. And when I try out this year, they're going to have no choice but to accept me. And they did. So kind of once I went in the show, I just kind of dominated like every single physical challenge. And I was like, well, that kind of paid off. And then once the show finished, I just kind of just got into health and fitness. And I knew that I always wanted to help people. And I knew that with fitness and whatnot, I could make that become something.
I love that. So I know very, very little about Big Brother. So can you just briefly explain it? And also like, what was your attraction to try out for the show for 5 years in a row?
Yeah, so I started watching the American Big Brother and I kind of fell in love with it. And it was never here in Canada. I watched that for, I don't know, maybe like 10 years. And I was like, if it ever comes here, I'm trying out 100%. Like I want to make, I was obsessed with the show. So basically what the show is, it's 16 different people just get put into this house. You're not allowed to leave the house. You can't listen to music. Yeah, you can't go. There's nothing. There's no phones. You're just locked in a house with 16 random people. Every single week you kind of do competitions, and then it's basically at the end of the week, you're evicting somebody. And just as the weeks goes on, the people are just getting smaller and smaller, and you're just competing for this big grand prize. It's more like a social experiment because it's like almost who could be the best liar. And you're just creating these alliances with these people. Like you get to know these people on a totally different level than what you would in the normal world. Because just think about it. Like if, for instance, okay, just to pretend me and you start dating, right? In the normal world, you're working, I'm working. We might go on a couple dates here and there, but over time, it's going to take a very long time for me to get to know you really well. When you're stuck in this house, you're with these people 24/7. Like I was in there for 63 days. You brush your teeth with these people, you go to bed, you cook, like you're just stuck in the house with these people 24/7. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Do you have to be single to go into the house, or can you like be in a relationship or have kids, or what's the deal?
There's all walks of life in that house. Like, I was single going in, but there was people that were married. There was people that had kids. Yeah, it's quite the journey.
Right. And so you felt like every year you would get fit for this show and then they wouldn't pick you. And then the fifth year, you're like, okay, I'm going to be the fittest and strongest I've ever been. And then they're going to pick me.
I feel like the way it is, it's almost like they're trying to fit a puzzle piece together, right? So like they want the smart, brainy person. They want the person like myself, like tall, tattoos, fit, and they want you know what I mean? So like every time I would try out, these people would be like, okay, like take off your shirt now, like let's see what's underneath, and like legit, like I'm not even lying. So I kind of got the vibe that they were like, okay, like they want me to be like the eye candy for the season. So like I kept getting turned down. So last go around, I'm like, I'm just gonna get as possibly shredded, and then I made it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Like typical reality TV shows, there has to be some sort of like sex appeal that happens, and it sounds maybe bad, but like that's kind of why people watch shows. Like I watch a lot of reality TV and everybody is just really fit most of the time and really good looking. But that's really
What do
cool.
you watch? What do you watch?
Oh, I watch like garbage.
Yeah,
Like,
the reason why that I like Big Brother compared to other reality shows
yeah,
is because it's all real and it's raw, and you're not told to do certain things. So like they tell us, once you go in that house, everything that happens is up to you. So like
right.
all the fights, all the drama, it's all real stuff, because like it actually feels like real life. It's a pretty big mind game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I watched like The Bachelor, which is obviously has components in it that are staged. I
Yeah.
also watched like Love Island, which is kind of similar to what you're saying, but it's about like finding your person and then being a couple and then like winning at the end. A lot of Netflix dating shows that are just garbage and like usually they're just on in the background while I work type of idea. But I kind of like this and maybe I need to watch a season because
It's really good.
yeah.
Like it's really good, and I feel like if you do like reality TV, you would like this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Like when you know people too, and especially like in Canada, there's always people. Like you're from Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's always people from BC and Vancouver being on the show. So like you might.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So would you try out again for the show?
Honestly, it was the best experience I've ever had in my entire life, and I've done a lot of pretty cool stuff. And if they called me right now, I would pack up like right now and go. I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Wow. Wow. That's saying a lot. Yeah. And then so after you came back from the show, like you came fourth, right?
Yes, yeah. I came fourth. I was like one day away from the finale, from winning the grand prize, and yeah, they were trying to get me out for a very long time, but I just kept winning, and then they couldn't get me out. But I just can't win them all.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to have to go back and watch your season. I think you were on season 7, right?
Season 7, yeah. My girlfriend actually never watched the show, and just right before this podcast, I just threw one on, and I was kind of watching, and I was like, man.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe a good thing to watch, maybe not a good thing for her to watch. I don't know.
No, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Considering what went on the season.
Yeah, yeah. So you came back from the show and then you were kind of like, I'm going to make this fitness and health thing stick and let me make a business out of it type of idea.
Honestly, no, that's not like I've always wanted to do like health and fitness or just something in that field like full time, but I've always been very, very scared to do it. And I've always like I've worked in the oil fields, and I've always had these jobs like on these big like refinery sites and whatnot, just because it was comfortable. You know what I mean? Like you were making your 6 figures, you were just getting a paycheck every week, and things were just, I just okay with that, but not really. And I knew that I could be doing something else, but I was just too scared to do it. And I kind of did that for the last 4 years. Then Microcybin came along, and they actually found me because I did a little random TikTok video. It's so crazy to think about like the way that the social media and whatnot is right now, because have I not made that video about mushrooms, they probably would have never found me. You know what I mean? So yeah, they kind of reached out. We started to work together and whatnot. And like, the more I started working with them and like, repping their brand and talking about their products, like the more that like people were coming to me, saying like they would use my code, they would buy the products, and then like a week later, they're coming back to me and telling me how it's changed their life, and like they're like thanking me and all this stuff. And I'm like, holy, this is insane. Like I've worked with a lot of companies before, like repping brands and stuff, but like none like this. Like this is like, I feel like I'm actually helping people and I have a purpose. You know what I mean? So I kind of some things kind of happened in my life, and I was kind of stuck in a situation where I had the choice to go back to work in Alberta or kind of just venture out on my own. And then probably about 3 weeks ago, I sat down and I really did start brainstorming, and I started thinking about what I was doing at my current job. And I was thinking about what I could be doing. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time. I think it's time to make a change. And yeah, like literally 3 weeks ago, I just decided let's do this on my own. And it's been scary. That's what I mean. Everything seems to be working out perfect. So
Yeah.
it'd be more of a risk not to try.
Yeah, I mean, I love a lot of what you're saying and can definitely relate to a lot of it. Like we've talked about on Instagram through my own career and my own entrepreneurial journey. So in terms of working with Microcybin now, you are a content creator for them, correct?
Yeah, like so basically I'm actually trying to help them build a team. So I've been trying to bring in more influencers kind of like myself to just start like building up the team more, just to grow the company more. So
That's
um
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been doing a lot of like all the content that I create for Microcybin, like they don't ask anything of me. I just actually enjoy putting that type of content out because I do feel like every time I do make a video talking about a certain topic and how like microdosing has changed my life, I might reach 5 people that's like, holy, this relates to me. And then they'll watch the video, they'll reach out to me. And like I said, like they'll try the products, and within a week or two, like it's like their whole life has changed.
Yeah, no, I really love that. So, in terms of like your last 3 weeks, like briefly, like what have been the hardest things that have happened and what have been like kind of the best moments so far?
So I really struggled a lot in the first couple of days when I told my work. I was like, no, I'm not going to Alberta. I was really struggling thinking about money. Because I was just so used to this money flow coming in every week. Just, you know what I mean? Like I could just book a trip if I want to go here, go there. Money didn't really faze me. And, I started talking to one of the guys that works for Microcybin, and like he's been a really big like leader in my life. You know what I mean? He's just a very, very smart, educated guy. And I just kind of listening to him, and he said that the second that you think about money and that's your drive, it's not going to work out. So I kind of just changed. I just changed my mindset about the thing. And I just stopped thinking about money, and I just started like focusing on what I could do, what I can offer, and that's just me kind of on social media helping people. Like I do fitness programs and stuff for people, and in the last 3 weeks, it's just been flowing. And like I sat there the other day, and I was thinking, I was like, geez, like this is actually not that hard. Like I could do this.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you can see when people are like in their flow like that, kind of like in their flow of life, which like can sound really cheesy. And for people who've never experienced that, like they would be like, what are you even talking about? But when people are in their flow, it's like money comes and goes, and it's not this like big, massive, stressful thing that's keeping them up every night.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like fulfillment and passion and willingness to work and wanting to work, right? And it doesn't even feel like work. I guess that's what it is. It's like, it feels like this is something I love doing. Let me create this and put this out into the universe. And it's going to somehow sustain my life and get me to where I want to go.
Yeah, I love that. That's very, very true. It's so wild because if I never started microdosing, I don't think I ever would have taken a chance and gone out on my own and like not worked that like one of those type of jobs. You know what I mean? But
Wow.
I actually started microdosing about a year ago, but I was kind of just like weighing out actual mushrooms on my own. And it was always like a hit or miss. But it was kind of good. But it's not the same type of benefits that I'm getting now from Microcybin. So like when they reached out and I started doing all their products, it's very, very consistent. And once I kind of got used to their products and I started doing like my own type of protocols and whatnot, it's actually insane the change that I've had in myself in like the last 4 months, because I actually went back and watched a video of myself talking before I was working with Microcybin. And I like now the way that I watch my videos, it's almost like I'm talking different, I'm thinking different, I'm presenting myself different. It's wild. It's pretty wild.
Today, I want to share with you a quick bedside routine I'm using at the moment, which relates to a question I have for you. And listen carefully to the end of this because I may or may not have a special offer for you. If I asked you, what is the number one health problem people from all over the world are facing, would you know what that is? If you guessed sleep, you'd be right. Honestly, the majority of people are lacking energy throughout the day. But lack of energy is a symptom of a bigger problem that is very difficult to gain control over. And that problem is sleep. Sleep can affect your mood, hormones, waking, and many other factors negatively impacting you. If you're finding yourself tossing and turning all night or waking up in the morning and still not feeling refreshed, your sleep could use some work. My little routine that I'm doing right now is a glass of water with 2 safe and natural magnesium breakthrough capsules 30 minutes before hitting the pillow. These are 7 essential forms of magnesium included in this full spectrum serving help you relax, unwind, and turn off your active brain after a long, stressful day so you can finally rest peacefully and wake up feeling refreshed, vibrant, and ready to go. Magnesium Breakthrough has become a household name over the last few years because of its reputation. Just recently, the company released their 4th upgraded formulation that works even better than before. So this is a simple, cost-effective solution I invite you to try if you haven't already. And for a limited time, BioOptimizers, the makers of this, are offering additional bonus gifts for the first 1,000 people who hop on this offer. They're including free bottles of their full line of digestive health products. These are the exact digestive health products that I use. So this includes the Mass Enzymes product, which is digestive enzymes, and the P3OM product, which is their patented probiotic, and their HCl product, which helps with heartburn and acid reflux. This means that you're getting free products to support your digestive system, which gives you more energy because now your body isn't focused as much on digesting your food, and it helps you absorb your nutrients even better from your food that you're eating. If you want to try this, you can do so by going to the website www.magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany and enter my discount code biohackingbrittany at checkout. I will link to this in the show notes as well as on my website and Instagram. If you want to try this, I suggest it right away. If you're having any type of sleep trouble, whether that's tossing and turning all night, whether that's falling asleep, or you just need more support in your life right now in this area. Again, that's www.magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany and use my discount code biohackingbrittany at checkout. Yeah, I love that. I kind of similar journey to you. Like I really started microdosing frequently when I started working with Microcybin. And for those listening who haven't caught on, Microcybin is the company that provides psilocybin, LSD, other things like that in a small amount. They also actually have mushrooms and chocolate and larger amounts too, but that's kind of the company that we work with. And when I started working with them and just regularly taking in this form of plant medicine, it really, really had profound changes on some things that I didn't necessarily know needed changing, if that makes sense. Kind of and it's not my space right now to get into it, but kind of past trauma that I didn't know was actually still impacting me today.
Yeah.
And combining microdosing plant medicine with therapy has been so healing. That whole introspective combination week in and week out has really been transformational for me. And I'm assuming it's probably been like that with you as well.
It's actually insane, but I do love that for you. But I want to rewind like what I was saying when I was trying out for the Big Brother show, right? And I was trying to be
Mhm.
like my best self. I was actually thinking about this the other day, and in that point in time in my life, I truly did believe that I was my best self. But now that like where I am in my life right now, I'm laughing at that the way I was, and I find that it's like you were talking about like the past trauma and stuff like that, and I am kind of going through the same thing as well, because a lot of like my past relationships and whatnot, like I thought I was like doing well, but like actually I wasn't. I find
Mhm.
now in the relationship I am now, it's such a healthier relationship because I started microdosing. And before it was almost like I used to just act without thinking, right? But now it's like every situation that might have like made me upset or something in the past, it's like I talk about it first in my head, and I think about how I used to be, and I always like say things that are right. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, your perspective is changing, right?
Big time,
And
big time.
yeah, big time. And that's how I feel as well. Is like even present day, but looking back on past situations, relationships, whatever it is, I used to see it one way and now I see it for actually how it is, or see it in a completely different perspective where I don't know if I would have gotten to that point without actually changing like the chemistry of my brain using plant medicine and like rewiring how I think, right? Like that's a very, very specific thing that needs to happen. But that's why it's been so healing for so many people. And that's why it's so popular is like, this is the experience for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody is having transformation and everybody is changing their perspective and learning more about themselves, which is why the whole industry is like slowly becoming more mainstream and blowing up, which is it's awesome. And it's honestly it's really exciting to be a part of it.
It's very, very, very exciting. I'm very happy to be part of the team of Microcybin. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good job.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. How do you think that microdosing is going to play a role in your future?
I love that like we are already on this path, because I feel like that we're already so advanced, and I do really strongly believe that this is going to be legal in the future, like pretty soon. And I like to think that it's like levels. You know what I mean? Like when I first started, how can I describe this? When I first started doing mushrooms, right? I didn't know anything about it. And you would almost do it with your friends, and like you would just be laughing and like carrying on, having fun. And like that's like level one. You know what I mean? So now
Mhm.
it's like the more that I'm doing it and I'm experimenting with these medicines, it's almost like I'm at a level 100 now, and I understand it and I use it as a tool, and it's just like it just helps me in every single aspect of my life. And I just feel like I'm just evolving. It's really sad to think about that there's a lot of people in this world that they're kind of stuck in their ways, and
Mhm.
they don't think they're wrong. They don't think they have to change, and they're just stuck in that narrow minded thing. But the best thing about the plant medicine is it creates those new pathways in your brain. And that's why you start thinking differently. You have new perspectives. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I love that we're both on this journey, and I'm very excited to see where I'm going to be in the future, because, like I said, in 4 months with microcybin, it's completely changed my life.
Yeah, I to be honest, I haven't given much thought to my future with microdosing either. I but I also don't follow a very specific protocol right now. So my usage is very like, how do I feel today? Do I feel like this is something I'm gravitating towards? Yes or no? And I'll take it or I won't take it. And that's been enough for me. However, like I know there are specific protocols for people like 4 days on, 3 days off type of thing, depends what they're taking. So when I look in the future, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's going to stay like that. And I'll gravitate towards it as I feel like I need it. But I do know some people who, microdose for 2 years and then they kind of take a break for a year because they're like, I just don't really need it or I'm not really called to it right now. And I think that is totally okay as well.
Yeah, 100%. I find that because there's a lot of people that microdose, but they also do other substances like they smoke weed or they'll drink alcohol or something like that. And I just want to talk about before I had a trip to Toronto. So before that, I was doing everything right. I was following the protocols to a T, and like I play a lot of sports and stuff. And in my basketball games, like I'm a pretty good player, but like I'm not the guy to be coming out nailing 3 pointers, like hitting all, like scoring 40 points a game. That's not me. But I started up my season and I was following the protocols like perfectly. And in the games, I can't describe how I was feeling, but like I know that I was in that flow state or what they call it. And everything was just working. Everything was firing perfectly. But then I went to on my Toronto trip, right? And I was having fun. I was drinking a lot. But then when I came back, I started playing basketball again. It's almost like that 10 days in Toronto, just kind of having fun, and the drinking kind of just ruined that flow state. You know what I mean? So I find that when you're using the microdosing, you have to almost you got to do a lot of work with it, and then you got to kind of stay healthy, because once you start adding things that are going to negatively affect your life, it's not going to work as good.
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to meet it halfway, and you can't expect it to just be like this cure all supplement pill,
Yeah, and
whatever.
there's a lot of people that thinks that they're going to take it, and it's like, oh my god, it's going to change my life. But no, you really have to do the work. Like, you are in control. This is just kind of helping you a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I spoke about on Instagram the other day was like, you can take it, right? Like, and you can take LSD and you can do these things, but you still have to do something with the new perspective that you have. If you have new solutions and you have new thoughts, whatever it looks like for you, like you still have to do the work once you get to that point. It's not just like you take this and then your life changes. It's like you take this, you think about things differently, and then you have to take action. And most of the time, the action that it's calling you to do is actually like uncomfortable, it's new, it's different, but it's going to grow you into a better person.
Yeah, it's so wild because like sometimes that I might say certain things, and it might be a little bit wrong, and then before I would just forget about it and move on. But now it's just, if the second that I'm by myself, I'll kind of think about it. Like, for example, the other morning, right, we was kind of talking to my girlfriend, and like I was kind of talking negatively, and whatever I was saying was like giving her anxiety. And then she told me that she had anxiety, and I didn't understand why. So I kind of just went and sat by myself. I was thinking, I was like, hey, like the way that I'm talking is that's why she is getting anxiety. You know what I mean? So I kind of went back to her and I was like, okay, like I apologize for that. But it's just the way we talk, like the words that we use in our life, like it kind of like creates this container or something. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely. It definitely changes and it makes you reflect. Like you said, like
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
back, like when you have a quiet moment. And I was talking to Jason the other day about this, who's from advisor from Microcybin. And I was saying, like, I feel like a lot of the healing that I'm doing from past trauma or like solutions for my business, whatever it is, like I actually feel like it comes through when I'm not microdosing, but there's something that which is like really difficult to understand because you would think like you take this substance and while you're on this substance, you have this, epiphany and you're like, wow, this is the thing. But there's something about the in between moments between the microdoses where I've actually had the most profound healing. And I don't really know how to explain that, but I know I'm not the only person who experiences that. And that kind of sounds like what you're talking about when you're quiet and alone and you're like, oh, should I have said that? You're kind of reflecting on yourself,
Yeah. Yeah. I used to, it's so wild. I'd say about a year before I started microdosing, like anytime I was left alone, my brain was like just going 100 miles an hour, just overthinking about everything possible. Right. And it was always an issue. And so, for instance, just say if you invited me to a party, right, and
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody there, and I would probably sit home and like almost talk myself out of going just because I didn't know anybody there. But I'd probably be sitting there for hours, like having a conversation in my head. But when I get there, it's totally fine. But ever since I started microdosing, all that quiet and all that nonsense and all that chatter in my head it's just gone. And I don't let that stuff affect me. You know what I mean? And like there is some times where like, I might get that thought in my head, But like before, I used to act on it. Now it's just like I understand what's happening. I'm like, oh, that's okay. Like, you can have those thoughts, but like, you're not going to do that. You know what I mean? It's very, very, very interesting what it does to your brain and how much it helps you grow as a person. I almost wish the whole world was doing it, because the whole world would be a very happier place. But there's a lot of people out there that kind of they think that this is crazy. They hear me talking about it, like my father or like my grandparents, like people in that generation. They're just like, it's the second that they hear that, it's just like, oh my God, no. You know what I mean? But it's coming up fast, and it's soon going to be taking over the world for sure.
It is. And there's such a stigma, right? Because it's like still somewhat illegal in most places. So if you're like, oh, I'm microdosing mushrooms, there's that side eye that like, oh my gosh, you're doing that? That's illegal. How did you get that? How is this legal? And even when I post about it online, there's so much of that. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you experience this too. Like there's so much red tape, even in what you can post online. Like I've had a couple videos taken down where I'm talking about microdosing because I use the word microdose, or I use the word LSD or psilocybin or whatever, and you're not allowed to say that. And like, there's just all of this like regulation around something that is actually so profoundly healing for people, which is really interesting and kind of like makes me think like, why is it like that? And when did it become like that?
I feel like in Vancouver, you live in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, isn't there like dispensaries there where you can just go and buy mushrooms?
Yeah, there are. I haven't been in any of them, but I've seen them.
But they're not like, I don't think it's fully legal in Vancouver. I don't.
No.
No, so it's not.
No.
So the police obviously know about these stores, but it's almost like they're just turning a blind eye to it because of everything and all the information that's going on in the world. It was almost like when weed was like almost becoming legal. Like, there was a lot of dispensaries everywhere, and it wasn't legal yet, but the police were just turning a blind eye. Like, if it was actually that bad, that they would go to these stores, shut it down, probably arrest the people. You know what I mean? It really does not make sense why someone can go buy a bunch of alcohol and, drink their brains out. And it's just like, it just literally ruins their life. But mushrooms are illegal, and it just does nothing but positive things. Like, there hasn't been one person that overdosed on mushrooms. You know what I mean? How many people die a year in the world from alcohol? Like, a lot. So it's pretty wild to think about, but the worlds are changing, and yeah, I think it's going to be coming pretty soon.
Are you concerned about aging on a cellular level? Did you know that over time, aging occurs due to decreased cellular quality, and that each time a cell divides, cellular quality and health is reduced due to shortening telomere length? Over time, low quality and unhealthy cells should be destroyed and recycled by the body. However, the modern diet prevents this activity, known as autophagy, from occurring at a sufficient rate. This combination leads to the process of aging and the prevalence of chronic disease as we age. Luckily, we can use herbal extracts to support aging and longevity on a cellular level. These are a couple of my favorite. So I love using spermidine, which has been studied for years due to its amazing effects on increasing lifespan. Research has concluded that the life-extending effects of spermidine come from its ability to increase autophagy, which is the natural process of recycling damaged and unhealthy cells in the body. This also includes glycoastragenol, which is an exciting new herbal extract that lengthens telomeres. It literally reverses the effects of cellular division to protect against further damage and cellular aging. Euthyvar by Valhalla Vitality provides these two powerful herbal compounds, spermidine and glycoastragenol, to combat and reverse the aging process. Euthyvar was formulated with synergy in mind. The synergistic effect of increasing telomere length and autophagy simultaneously has previously been untapped. Valhalla Vitality also has a powerful NMN supplement called Niovar, as well as a fantastic nootropic called Hypovar, which is made from THCV. This is a minor cannabinoid that helps with mood, energy, focus, mental clarity, and reduces appetite. And this is actually the supplement I take every single time I fast because it helps me focus and helps with weight management by reducing my appetite when I'm fasting. You can find all of these products on my website and also linked in the show notes. And make sure to use my discount code biohackingbritney in all capitals for a discount at checkout. Yeah. I mean, like on the same hand or on the different hand, whatever, I kind of get that it is banned and there is legal things against it because like it feels like the most healing things are kind of demonized by the government and they don't want us to have it. You know what I mean? Like it's almost not surprising that this is the situation. I mean, we don't have to get into politics, but like our government is not that great, even though it's kind of like seen as like Canada, this like nice place and everyone is like so kind and polite to each other. There's actually a lot of shit going on. And so when you kind of look at through that lens, it's like, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense why like this thing that's actually going to help all of the citizens, let's take it away so they can't have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely all about money. Everything is all
Yeah.
about money, and like
Yeah.
the way that these antidepressants are, they're meant for you to take for the rest of your life. Like there's no end game. Like you don't take antidepressants and then all of a sudden you're fine. It's like from my understanding about them, like I don't really know that much about them, but from the people that talk about it to me, like the second they come off it, all their issues are just coming right back up again. Or if you decide to not take it, you could possibly get sick. Like that's terrifying. You know what I mean? Like with microdosing, there is an end goal. Like you can do it for 6 to 12 months and you won't have to do that ever again. And then like the issues that you were having, there's a lot of science behind it right now that the benefits from microdosing, it lasts a lot longer than what it would if you were just taking antidepressants. You know what I mean? So,
Do you ever get any side effects from microdosing, like anxiety, nausea, anything like, have you experienced anything like that?
no, like the only thing that I experienced was the flushing, and like I didn't understand what that was at first, but then once I kind of researched it, like it's actually a healthy thing. No, I don't ever get the anxiety, or I honestly don't even remember the last time I had an off day. And like I used to get those, you know, every now and then. I would just wake up with a weird feeling, and like I didn't understand what was going on. Ever since I started microdosing, every day is just amazing. Like it's really strange.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I like on the weekend I did a larger dose. Like it's still like a macro dose. Like it's still not.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I did like
Can I ask what you have? How much you took?
yeah, I think I did like 500 milligrams, and it was interesting. And I don't know if a lot of people feel this, but I feel it in different parts of my body as well. If that makes sense, it really stimulates different parts of my body depending on what's going on, which I find very interesting. So, like, I really, really felt it in my gut on the weekend. And like, it doesn't always happen like that. Like, I don't always like feel like I can feel my gut. Even, I don't even know if that makes sense. Like, just speaking this out loud.
Yeah, I
But
definitely know what you're talking about. Like sometimes I might take, you know, a couple grams, and you know, those are the best experience that I find, because I'll only do that when I'm very like unsure about something in my life, and I'm like, okay, Adam, like it's time to sit down and do some mushrooms and figure some stuff out. Like I don't do it to, you know, party or anything like that. Like I always do it to figure stuff out, and I always have these like crazy life-changing experiences. But like you were saying about feeling, you do feel your body a lot more. And for example, if I would like had a really hard like leg workout and my legs were really sore and I did mushrooms, I would feel that soreness like a lot more. Like it's yeah. So I know what you're saying.
yeah, that's really interesting because whenever like that happens and it's kind of like you do a bigger amount and like a different part of your body almost like lights up, I almost think like, is that the part of my body right now that actually needs the most healing? Is that where I should actually be focusing and my attention should be focusing? And like that's just like one interpretation. And I have done no research into like what any of this could mean. But that was like my first thought of like, why do I feel this in my gut right now when last week I did it? And you're right, like my legs were sore from the gym and I felt it like a body high in my legs more, you know, like, so it's just interesting how it's so different for different people. And every single time you do it, it's different as well.
Every single time. It's never the same. Like as much as I do it, I still don't fully understand what happens, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's such a weird thing, and I wish that everybody experienced some of the things that I've experienced doing mushrooms and whatnot. But some people are just scared.
Yeah. No,
But if
totally.
anybody's listening to this podcast, you're missing out.
Yeah, you are. I am like converting a lot of my followers, I think, to microdosing just by like how many DMs I get about it. Like
Oh
exactly
man.
like you, right? Like, hey, can I get your discount code? Hey, where do you get it? Hey, I'm in the States. Who's the affiliate? Like all of these questions, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's like I said before, like I work with a lot of other companies like HelloFresh or just that like I always use the code. Some people would use my code, but like with Microcybin, it's like everyone's like, holy shit, what is this? And I want it now. Because everybody's always looking for like a quick fix. You know what I mean? And then the second that you start talking about how it's changed your life and this and that, like everybody just wants in. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm always posting because I know I'm just going to keep reaching more and more and more people.
Did you know that before the invention of germicides and antibiotics, it was known that disease causing germs could not survive in the presence of silver? Thus, silver was used in dishware, drinking containers, and eating utensils. Whether it's a weak immune system, dry skin, eczema, sun damage, bad breath, or unhealthy gums, we are all looking for ways to optimize our health and reduce the symptoms we're dealing with on a daily basis. But honestly, it's tough to know what remedy to try, what food may be causing the issue, or what will actually work when we're trying to heal. Of course, there are somewhat effective solutions we can get from our local pharmacy, but as people who prefer using the power of nature to heal, using these products don't really align with our values. Keeping our bodies strong is essential to our good health. A strong immune system can protect our body from infection and helps us heal. Silver has been used for centuries to do exactly this. Silver biotics have taken the old technology of colloidal silver and improved it to create the next generation of silver products. Silver Biotics has products for skincare for issues like dry skin and eczema, and I'm currently using their skin gel on the back of my legs as I try to heal the dry skin that I'm dealing with. They have oral health products as well, including a fantastic toothpaste that helps fight bad bacteria with its silver content. It also decreases bad breath, whitens teeth, and supports healthy gums. They have an immune support supplement that can be taken orally, which also helps support our immune system from the inside out. If you are interested in trying silver and you've heard about this and it's kind of been one of those things that you've always wanted to do and try, I really, really recommend Silver Biotics, and they are my go-to silver company. You can head over to silverbiotics.com or the shop on my website and use my code biohackingbrittany in all capitals to get a discount, which gets you 10% off today. Again, I really recommend trying this if it's for you, if it's for your pet, if it's for a loved one. Silver is definitely a staple in my little pharmacy I have at home. So that's silverbiotics.com or the shop on my website, discount code biohackingbrittany for 10% off today. No, I agree with you. So I'm just looking at Microcybin's website right now. I'm really curious which products you're using or like you recommend or are your favorites.
So currently what I'm doing every Monday morning, I'm taking zero point 0.5 of the LSD flow.
Right.
And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm taking the Genesis Pro first thing in the morning. When I train, sometimes, like if I train in the morning, I might take a sport instead of the Genesis. But if I train in the evening, I'll take the Genesis in the morning and then the sport. Just the same as I would take like a pre-workout. And then I take the 2 days off and take the cleanse. But I really do like the macro Jedi. Really do love those. What I don't like, I'll take those on a day where just say me and the girlfriend are going on like a hike outside or just something like fun. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be taking those every single day, but those are really great.
Yeah. Have you done any of the lab grade certified organic medicinal mushrooms?
I have, yes. I've had the A plus and the penis envy B plus or something like that. Those are actually both my favorite. It's just that it's really hard to explain what happens when it happens. But like honestly, I used to be like afraid to do mushrooms by myself, but there's actually been a couple times where I was like, you know what, let's do some mushrooms, and I will get the most creative I've ever been in my entire life. And like my brain is just firing on all cylinders. I have like a million ideas coming to me at once. And like I'm just writing stuff down and it's pretty wild. But yeah, like my girlfriend right now, I find that we've connected on a totally different level than what we normally would without doing mushrooms. Like there's been times where, she comes over, maybe like we're a little bit tired, it's late at night, we're kind of feeling shitty, we got the Netflix on. We're just like a couch potato, you know what I mean? And we're like, yeah, let's do some mushrooms. And we do that, and we literally have the best night ever. And we're just like, the conversation is flowing, we're just connected, we're talking about everything. And we do that anyways, but it's just, until you do that, until you know what I'm talking about, yeah, you just really got to try it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Like, yeah, the products that I love is definitely the LSD microdosing flow as well. I actually need to order a new one.
What do you love about what do you love about it?
So I usually use it on Mondays. I actually didn't use it today, but I usually use it once a week, and I find that it really, really helps me focus and gives me clarity and gives me energy to get things done on my to-do list, and kind of like gets rid of the time in between tasks that I usually spend like faffing around, like on TikTok or whatever I'm doing during my workday, Like I just find I can really, really get a bunch of things done. And I've had Adderall before, so I can like compare it to that. Like Adderall is very like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this one thing, and you have these like blinders on and you can't think about anything else, and you get kind of like anxious, and it's almost like that caffeine over caffeinated feeling. Whereas LSD is like, you're kind of in the flow of working and you get so much done and you don't even really realize how much you're getting done. And then it kind of fades by the afternoon. I do a really small amount though, like, minimum dosage, like 0.25 mils. And it's great for that. It's really, really great for that. And so, yeah, that's what I recommend for people when they talk to me about work and productivity. I don't know if you find the same thing in terms of LSD.
Like I said before, when I'm consistently taking this stuff and like I'm doing everything properly, I do find like when I'm playing sports or when I'm in the gym or like when I'm doing anything, I'm just more like, I just feel like I'm on 24/7 and like nothing could ever stop me. You know what I mean? It's pretty wild. Oh, I do have a question for you. Do you work out? Like, do you go to the gym? Do you take supplements for the gym?
Yes. So I take essential amino acids, like full spectrum. I also take creatine. And I mean, aside from that, I have pre-workout, but I usually have a cup of coffee instead because I just prefer it. But I've never, and I just had Sean on my podcast. We were talking about this. I've never done like LSD and then gone to the gym. Whereas like, I know that he's done like LSD and then done a workout. So maybe this is like something I need to try.
So, like, the reason why I asked this, because I was going to mention it before, but I forgot. So, I used to take like everything, right? The creatine, amino acids, like protein, pre-workouts, like anything that I could get my hands on that the people say, this is good for you for working out. I would always take it and wouldn't even question it. And then once I started microdosing and whatnot, and I started like training, like with the sport and whatnot, I started like questioning the supplements that I was taking. And I was like, why am I taking this? And do I actually feel anything from these supplements? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop taking supplements and see if I notice any difference in myself. It's been probably, I think, about 3 months right now. And the only thing I take is protein because I do believe in that. And I'm not saying all supplements are bullshit, but there's definitely a lot out there that people waste their money on, and it literally doesn't make you feel any better. So, anyways, I'm solely only doing microdosing. I'll take my vitamins like vitamin D, fish oils, all that stuff. But the reason why I'm saying this is because we spend a lot of money on things that are told to us that are good, but like no one ever questions it. No one ever, like most people will take gym supplements and don't even have a clue what it does. They just hear somebody saying, "Oh, this is deadly. You need it," and then they go buy it. You know what I mean? But then they'll come to me and they'll talk about microcybin and they'll say, "Oh, that's really expensive." Like, "Oh, I'm not buying that." Is it really expensive? I don't think so. Like, how much money are you wasting on Tim Hortons coffees? That's $2-3, or Starbucks that's $4 or $5. If you break down the math, like one of the Genesis Pro, for instance, is 35 pills in there. And if you follow the right protocols, it's going to last you about 7 weeks. So if you break the math down, it's like $1.70 a pill. And it's like an investment in yourself. And you can actually physically notice changes in yourself. So yeah, that's my little rant about supplements.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying for sure. So I'm a nutritionist and I have done a lot of testing for myself and continuously get tested throughout the year. So everything that I choose to take is very like, hey, my levels are low in this, or like I've had my DNA tested and I know that I need more protein and amino acids than the average person, my size and my gender and whatever. So it's very like data informed, but I would say that most people, when they're taking supplements, it's not data informed. It's very, like you said, like my favorite influencer said to take this like B vitamin gummy. So I hear what you're saying. And I think there is a lot of space for looking into microdosing instead of supplements. I also think like they can both be used as well. But what I was going to say earlier as well is the LSD, which I love taking, especially on like a Monday or like a big productivity day. I also really like, just looking at the products right now, I really like Heal. Have you ever taken Microcybin Heal?
No, that's that one, and the Zen is I've never taken those.
Yeah. So it's so interesting because Heal is easily my favorite mushroom product that they have, easily. This is the one where it's probably the only one I will take, and I will not feel any sort of like feeling in my gut, or it just feels completely different for me than all of the other products. And when I talked to Jason about this, he said that Heal was actually created with women in mind. And for some reason, I was taking it before I knew that, and I can just feel it. So I don't know if your girlfriend is like, how often she's taking these, but whenever women reach out to me about microdosing, I always say, take Heal, because this is designed for your female biology.
Yeah. I've never tried it, but I probably should. I probably should get to try that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the girlfriend, she's just kind of just been taking the same like protocols. Yeah. Everybody's different, right? What works for me is obviously not going to work for you, and that's why like you kind of follow the protocol for the first couple of weeks, and then you kind of just get to know it, and then you're going to figure out what works for you after.
Yeah, exactly. And so like people listening, who haven't seen their website or like product descriptions, like every product has a different amount of psilocybin in it, but the psilocybin itself can come from different mushrooms. And then it's combined as well with other adaptogens. So that's why different products hit differently, is because it's like the combination of ingredients and how much of each ingredient is in the product is different. And so it's really nice to like experiment with these different ones and see like, oh, this one also has reishi in it. And that's kind of why I feel so calm on it and so good on it, But I totally agree with what you're saying, is it's very different per person. And taking the time to explore that is like very beautiful and like a good thing to do, I would say.
Yeah, and definitely do your research, because it's like I said, there's people out there that'll like listen to me talk about maybe the sport, and then they're going out buying 4 or 5 bottles of sport, and you probably shouldn't start off with the sport. You know what I mean? So definitely, that's why I love Microcybins, because when you actually go on their website, it's just there's so much information there. It's actually kind of hard to purchase something. You know what I mean? Like every single product is like a big paragraph of information. You reach out to their Instagram, like they'll answer every single one of your questions. They're like the Lamborghini of microdosing, because there is a lot of microdosing companies out there. And I was kind of curious, like I kind of went on a couple, and I was just kind of like doing like reading the ingredients and stuff like that. And most that I found that like their microdosing products, there's like 25 milligrams of psilocybin in there. So you're like, you got to down 5 pills And with Microcybin, you're only taking one. You know what I mean? So I do feel like Microcybin is going to take over 100%. I've actually had a lot of people that kind of tried Microcybin and then went to another company, but then came back to Microcybin because the other company was garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Like, and I'm sure this has happened to you, the amount of like other microdosing companies that have reached out now that like they see me promoting microcybin so much. And same thing, like I look at their websites and I'm like, this is not the vibe. This is not it.
No.
Like, this looks tacky. This looks cheap. Like, this just, there isn't that like synergy there. And I think that's why people love microcybin so much is it feels elevated and it feels sophisticated. And like, it's almost like microcybin takes itself so seriously. So when people look at the products, they take it seriously, right? Like it really, really does translate to the customer.
Yeah, and we're not trying to just push product, sell. Like they would actually rather like sit down and talk with you and give you all the information that you need and set you up perfectly so you have the best experience possible instead of just, slapping a happy face on something. Say, here, take this, go to town. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
See you never.
Yeah. And also like they have so many initiatives that are coming down the pipeline as well, which I really respect and I'm hoping to get involved in. And that's what I love as well. It's not just, hey, it's about like selling these products. It's okay, how do we educate people? How do we get people in the same room who are into this type of thing? How do we make this more of a community? Like these really, really cool things that will take time to develop, but are going to definitely be worthwhile.
Yeah. It's very exciting to work with these guys. It is.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, it is. So if people want to reach out to you and they want to connect, maybe they have microdosing questions, maybe they want to work with you, how can they do that?
Follow me on Instagram at Adam Pike Fitness. That's like my main kind of social page for sure. I do have TikTok. If you want to have a good laugh, it's Adam Pike Fitness as well. And I'm actually in the works of starting my own podcast. So
Ooh.
yeah, there's not a name or anything. Like it's all very new, but I'm gonna give it a go. Learn from the best.
Nice. I love that. I'm excited.
When did you start podcasting?
I started podcasting in 2019, I think, but I took about a year break or so as I was finishing school and launching my business. And then I came back to it. But it took me a long time to get into the rhythm, learn the software, the hardware, and just kind of figure it out.
Yeah. I don't know anything about computers. And I'm like on YouTube, trying to like YouTube everything. And you know what I mean? But I on my Instagram, like, there's some videos that I might make that's like 10 minutes long. I'm just going on a rant by myself. And I'm like, I could easily just make a podcast, but it's definitely hard. There's definitely a lot of work that goes behind it. And it's going to take a while to build that platform. But I think it's something that I'm definitely going to enjoy for sure.
Yeah. The biggest thing, like my reasoning behind it was I wanted a space where I could create long form content, and that's not Instagram and that's definitely not TikTok. Right. So for me, it was either a podcast or YouTube. And I was like, oh man, do I want to be on YouTube and edit my videos and care about what I look that much? And so I was like, no, let's do a podcast. And it's been great. So I guess you could have a blog too, but I don't want to write a blog.
You don't think YouTube, like even if you just record it like what we're doing right now and you just like slap it on YouTube as well?
Yeah. So the podcast episodes automatically published to YouTube right now. And it's just like the audio file with a photo. Sometimes I record my interviews and I do put them on there. But when I was first considering this, it was more of like, do I create just YouTube content, right? Like about microdosing, and it's a microdosing video. I'm still open to YouTube, and like, a year from now, watch me just like be on YouTube all the time. So who knows?
If you can build a following on there, more power to you. Cause like, I know some people that got like big followings and they're making money on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's actually really, the way the world is right now. And I was telling my grandparents the other day, right? Now I told her that I left my job and all that stuff. She's like, oh, Adam, like, I'm really worried about you. Cause like the world is just so crazy now. And how you can just make money, like literally doing anything.
That's something that I really struggle with actually is like we're going on a tangent here, but I really struggle explaining to people what I do because if I tell a millennial, hey, I'm a content creator, they're like, oh, great. What platforms are you on? Like immediately, like everyone understands that language and like there's no explanation. But when I'm talking to like older people and I'm trying to be like, yeah, I have a following and it actually makes a lot of money and like I'm doing really well, like they just don't understand. And so I have to really work on my like 2-minute elevator pitch to people over 50. Like, anyway, this was so awesome. I'm so happy that you came on. Thank you for spending an hour with me and hearing all about your microdosing information and protocol. And everybody, I hope you go and connect with Adam right away.
Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully I will have you on mine in the coming future.
Yeah, I would love that. I would totally love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram where I'm most active. My handle is @biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.